Welcome to Sunshine Art and Drawing. I just wanted to take you on a bit of a trip with me today to do some outside art. This is just a little bit of a panorama shot of my local train station. A lot of this little bit of footage here is done in portrait mode. I apologise for that, but there were a lot of people at the train station. I didn't want to make it too obvious that I was filming by whipping up my camera. And we're just waiting for the train. So these are our new electric trains. We've just had them for about a year here in Adelaide and they're actually quite good. They look really nice on the inside, they're kept up really well, and they kind of look like new fancy trains, which I kind of like. So let's get on board if the train stops. Here we go. And luckily in Australia we have a swipe pass system, so there's no cash or coins or anything like that. I can just swipe my pass and sit down, just like a major city. And this is just some sped up footage of the travel on the train line. So I thought you might enjoy a little bit of this. There is a lot of this, so let me know if you want me to upload just the train journey. Some people really like watching train journeys, and I can slow it down. This is sped up to about 8 times, so it's like live, non-sped up footage. But I just wanted to show you the beach because you can see it on the train line. So you'll see little bits of it as we come past. This camera is actually pretty good at focusing on landscape, so when it does see the beach, it seems to focus for the horizon and you get to see the beach. So in a second after we get past that station, you should be able to see it there. And that's where we're heading. We're heading to the seaside. So you'll see a lot of train station sort of like signs. The one we're heading for is Brighton Station. So you'll see a lot like Colour Cove Beach and Merino Rocks and stuff like that. But as you can see, I'm hoping that the weather gets better at this point. I'm looking outside and seeing all those grey clouds and worrying about whether I'm going to get rained out. But I'm lucky because it was actually a really good day. It was a little bit windy and a little bit cold, but it was a good sort of bright day. It was good for filming. So just a little bit more of this. And we'll get off the train and we'll make our way down to the beach. So I was trying to make this into like quite a nice video. I've got a bit of footage from this day. I went to a few different places. So over the next few weeks you'll see a couple more of these types of outside art videos. I'm hoping to make it a bit of a series. So here I am getting off because it just announced that it's nearly at Brighton, and here we go. And I know my camera is a bit wonky at this point. There's also a lot of people. I didn't want to make it too obvious that I was filming. I'm not very confident with my camera out at the moment. So we'll pop across the road, and once we get across the road away from the people, I'll straighten the camera out. There we go. And we'll just quickly hurry along this side street because it's quite a busy day. There's lots of people, which is strange because it was a weekday. I think it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday that I went out. Probably a Wednesday. I'm just going to slow it down a bit actually as we get up to the shoreline so that you can see the whole shoreline. That's the one good thing about living in Adelaide, in South Australia, is that we're actually really close to the beach. No matter where I've lived my life in Adelaide, I've never been more than about 20 minutes from the beach. I think it's just because essentially the entire side, like one whole side of the city, is the beach. And here I'm just going to do a bit of drawing, so I thought I would show you that I did sort of try and find a nice quiet spot to sit down and do a bit of drawing and sketch out what I could see. And also I thought it was a bit fun because I noticed in the background that the sort of like some kids and stuff and a pet and that started to play at the shoreline, and actually the camera likes to focus on the shoreline. I think it's because this camera doesn't really have its own focus. It's just a very, very small travel camera. So it just sort of focuses on what's furthest away. And you can see all of the clouds moving because I've sped it up a little bit. And the best part about sitting here was that there were lots of people walking their pets. So you got to see so many pets being like all these cute little dogs and things like that. And as you can see in the background, there's a little family and their pets are all playing out at the seaside. It was actually really cold, so I was surprised that people were there. But yeah, as you can see, the sun comes out, and in a little bit I go down to the shoreline and I'll show you the whole sort of beach area. And the sun's sort of getting covered by the clouds. This is why I sort of packed up in the end, because I thought it was going to rain. But luckily it didn't. And here we go, we'll head down to the shoreline. So most of the time you'll find in Australian beaches they're surrounded by sand dunes, and so that we don't destroy the natural habitat of the sand dunes, they fence off sections like this so that you can walk down to the shoreline and you're not trampling all over the plants and things like that. And I looked back here because I thought I stepped on a plant, but no, I was fine. I was trying not to stomp all over the plants. And here's the shoreline. Now this was filmed just this month, so we'll say like April, May, and it's autumn here, so it doesn't look like a big bright sunny day because it's not summer anymore, but it's windy, so it gives you these really cool looking waves and the clouds look really beautiful. So I'm just showing you the whole panorama shot, and we'll have a walk around on the beach and see what we can find, and if I find anything interesting I'll point it out. But most of this beach was nice and hard because it had rained the night before, so it was quite good to walk on. It wasn't too sandy, and it looks like some kids might have been playing around building a bit of a sandcastle, that sort of thing, and that's why the sort of water is all sort of going all the way back to here. I was seeing if there are any fish, because sometimes there are fish in these little ponds that are created, like some small fish, but there was just none. I think all the birds here are probably eating all the fish. Now all these birds you'll see, I thought they would be seagulls, but they're not seagulls. These guys are magpies. And you see them a lot in South Australia. They're kind of a native Australian bird. And these beautiful black and white, almost look like a bit of a raven or a crow, but with the stark white feathers as well. And I'll stop up here a little bit and we'll have a look at one close up, because one of them flew in and he decided to stay still so I could take a bit of footage of him sitting there. And there's that little magpie, he's just chilling out and having a look for some grubs and things to eat. But he was playing it up for the camera, so I thought I'd let him have his little 15 minutes of fame. Or 15 seconds, or whatever Andy Warhol said. And I was just having a look, there was a weird purple thing on the ground, it was just a bit of rubbish. If I had more hands I would have picked up some rubbish, but no, my hands are full with the camera and everything like that. So we're going to head over here, and I'm just going to hop over this little river thing. I think the kids were digging at it because that's why it looks like it has a flat edge on one side. I think there were like a bunch of kids digging at it, making it wider, which is fun. I used to do that when I was a kid, try and make like moats and things like that, and try and draw the seawater further up onto the beach. It's just quite a beautiful day. I really enjoyed myself out here. I'd recommend it if you live anywhere near a beach, even if it's not summer, just to go for a walk, breathe in the fresh air, all that sort of thing. And I'm just slowing it down a bit here because I wanted to show that you can climb a little bit up into the sand dunes. They are sort of surrounded by rocks, so you can't really get right up onto the sand dune, but you can have a bit of a look around and see what's sort of washed up there. I'm just going to have a bit of a look around, because what I'm really looking for is I was looking for like a nice shell or a nice rock or something like that that I could take home and do some painting, but I couldn't find anything good that would be sort of like large enough to be able to paint on and that sort of thing as well. So up here I'm just sort of climbing up to where these rocks are. It's kind of a steep angle, so it took a bit of climbing before my feet would stop slipping back down because of the sand. And it's trying to stabilize there because the camera went upside down. And as you can see, yeah, they've sort of bordered it with a bit of rocks and things to stop people from climbing up on the dunes. And just here is a little piece of wood. And it was just a strange little piece of wood with a hole in it. So I picked it up and I took that home, that little piece of wood, and I also dropped my phone, so I made sure I grabbed that. Fell out of my pocket. But I took that piece of wood home, and the way that I treated it is once I got it home, I washed it with soap and water, just in case there was anything on it. And then once it was washed, I took a small amount of linseed oil, just a very small amount, and then spread that all over the wood, and then let that dry overnight. And the reason I did that is so the wood itself won't dry out and then crack, because that will make the paint crack. So this set of paints that I'm painting with here It's a set of acrylic paints that I found. Well, actually, my mother found. She found in an op shop. It looks like, I would guess, probably someone was doing model painting or painting like trains and things like that, because it's all very, very similar colours. So there's black, blue, green, yellow, and burgundy, and sort of that heritage green as well. So it made me think of like doing trains or doing things like that. And I turned the little fan on because I wanted to help it dry so that I could layer the colours on. So if you see that little bit of paper that I've got next to me, that's kind of my plan of what I wanted to paint. It's always good to make a bit of a plan so that when you go to paint it, you've got an idea of where you're going. I'm just adding some brown and yellow together because I wanted to make it sandy. So I wanted to do kind of like the beach, but instead of doing it in the daytime, I did it at night because I thought that that little circle makes the perfect moon. And I'm just going to paint in some little leaves and things like that. And then I'm making like a whitish blue to do the foam of the sea, and sort of just a little glints of light from the stars that are showing on the top of the sea. And I've got a little bit of burgundy here because I wanted to add just a little bit of details of some little flowers and some little branches and things like that. And then I found that if you mix the burgundy with the green, you got a good sort of shadowy brown grey colour, which was really good for the rocks because the rocks wouldn't be bright brown because it's nighttime, so they kind of have this sort of grey cast or grey hue, which is what I did for sort of the rocks along the shoreline. And I was just using the very tip of a small brush to do these, but you could use something like a more rough brush and then flick it and just cover over the spot at the bottom to make sure you don't get little spots everywhere. And then once I had done a little bit of sort of light blue, I got the white and I did a little sort of glint on the top of each of the rocks and then used water to water it out. So it mixed with the grey colour and made kind of a light grey and looked a lot more like stones. I do bring it up a bit closer so you can see in just a moment, but I'm just going to touch it up with a bit more silver because I found the silver is so nice and bright. It looks really good as the part in the moon as well as a few stars, and just touching up the moon reflection just so it's a bit more white. And here we go, I'm just going to show you what it looks like, and I've hung it up just as like a little sort of decorative thing. I've hung it off of a set of blinds so that I can reach the blind, and it's just got this little sort of, I think it's a key ring or something with little glittery glints on it, and I thought that matched up really well. So as you can see the silver there, and then I'm going to come in close so that you can see those rocks at the bottom. And hopefully my camera will focus a little bit better. There it goes. And sort of showing you how it looks, and then those little tiny glints at the top. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Have a sunshiny day.